Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. It's a beautiful day out here today. I almost feel like sitting down in this area near the Hartley is gonna like cue Benny's crew to show up.
Yeah, probably.
They're supposed to be here at some point today.
Yeah.
To do a little bit more measuring and then hopefully starting in on the brickwork. I keep saying we're gonna start the brickwork and then things just keep on. However, it feels like every step, and I've said this before, every step that's taken a little while, I'm kind of glad it has, because had they started the brickwork last week right after they measured everything out per our drawing, our sketch, we wouldn't have been able to make the changes that we just did yesterday. We were really walking through it and really like dissecting where all the brick was going to line up and everything. And I think it was really, it was a productive, every once in a while you and I'll have like a real productive conversation about things like that. Because both you and I, Aaron and I, like when we're measuring things, it's not like a happy time.
Not a good sight.
No, but we
usually don't film that
right.
part of things.
Yeah, but it was really productive. We figured everything out, and I think it's going to be great, which means we shifted a couple of things. And so Benny actually showed up when we were doing it, and he was like, "It's perfect because I was just coming to make sure that you liked everything. Do we need to move anything?" And then he said they were going to be back this afternoon. So anyway, they'll probably show up during this, and we'll end up in the studio. Yeah. But it is beautiful out here today. If we do sound congested, you guys, it's because we are. Both of us are this week. Last week Aaron was, and then he got pretty sick over the weekend.
Yeah.
Like you were like
not
out.
COVID. We had a couple old COVID tests
we had some
from a
random
long time
COVID
ago.
tests.
Did those go bad?
Oh, I bet. No. Well, everything has
an
an
expiration.
expiration.
Because they're from like last year. Are people still getting COVID? I haven't like heard anything about it for like a while.
I think they are, yeah.
Are they?
I don't think they were expired tests though.
Well, either way,
I thought that was a 23.
Whatever tests we had were negative, just because we were curious. But
yeah. Anyway, and then I caught it, maybe not as bad as Aaron, but I don't get sick, you guys. But yeah, I had the cough and the congestion, and then I got a migraine, which I get like 2 migraines per year. So I was up at midnight, Sunday night, and yeah, like from midnight to 2:15, just like didn't know what to do with myself, nauseous, and head was killing me. And I am a wuss when it comes to headache pain. I can do almost anything, but headache pain is bad for me. Not good. Anyway, we're on the mend.
Yeah,
I
hopefully.
think we're still getting stuff done. We're just slower this week. I'm actually surprised we even had to skip a day.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're pushing like so hard, and you know.
Well, what's up with all the
I don't know, a lot of air
activity
at the moment.
Maybe there's like a show going on at the airport.
So let's jump into the videos from last week. The first one was homemade peach ice cream and planting 3 gorgeous perennials with food names. So I was using the very last of our peaches to make some homemade peach ice cream, which turned out really wonderful. Ended up making some ginger snap cookies and making like peach pie ice cream sandwiches. They were so good. And then I planted, I'm going to try to remember, tiramisu sedum, boom chocolate hardy geranium, and double coated butter pecan coneflowers were the other ones. The butter pecan coneflower was a new one for next year, and then the tiramisu was a new one for this year, and then boom chocolate geranium, I don't think that was a new one. Sarah said, did we ever see that pluot or plum cut hybrid tree that was purchased with the rest of the orchard trees get planted? I know Laura mentioned she was going to put it somewhere else in the landscape, but I don't remember ever seeing it again. I did not put it in our landscape. I think my brother took that tree. I think we just weren't ready. You know, we put the orchard in very first. Like those were the first things we planted out there. There was nothing. And the trees didn't have leaves either. So I remember that video. I'm like, it doesn't look like we did anything.
Yeah.
Like the orchard fence wasn't there. The cut flower garden wasn't there yet. I mean, that was the first thing we planted, and I just bought one too many trees. I just overbought. I thought I had room for 10 and I only had room for 9. And so anyway, my brother though had room, and his wife had room in their garden. So they took it. Patty said, your Russian sage is so lovely and full. What is the secret? Ours are rather spindly. Well, ours get full sun all day long, full sun. Also, the variety can make a difference. Like the old standard Russian sage varieties look way more open and spindly and like, they're just more sparse looking than like the denim and lace. Denim and lace I have quite a bit of experience with. It stays smaller than the traditional Russian sage, but it's much more dense, much more compact, and so it just is a fuller plant. Now I recently planted some called Sage Advice, which is a tiny bit bigger than denim and lace, so we'll see how that one does, but if it does anything like our denim and lace does, then I'm excited to see. Also, they don't like a lot of water and they don't want any fertilizer, so make sure that those boxes are ticked. Sean says, a month ago you did a video on the new brick walkway. Why haven't we seen any results?
Yeah, why?
Oh my goodness. I don't think I like that tone,
Yeah.
Aaron. You know, I was wanting to wait until things were kind of buttoned up. It's still not done. There are still some things that we need to do to finish it, including cleaning it. But I did do a update tour. It's not a grand reveal. It's just kind of like, this is where it's at the moment. It's almost done, but it's just taking forever. And
that'll come out on Monday?
Yeah, Monday. So you'll see this video if you watch it on Sunday, before that video comes out on Monday. So it's just kind of like state of affairs of that area. And that way we can start doing some projects. Like, it's done enough to where I can decorate the back area for fall and do some planters and things like that. So I'm excited for that. Jen said, Laura, would it be possible to list the name of plants in your videos, please? They are in the description below the video. All the time.
Yeah, unless it's like a garden tour and you mention
like
100 different names.
Yeah. We typically put a list of what I'm talking about in the video with links if you want to learn more about it in the description of the video. Gardening Junkie said, I'm convinced you have a clean pair of those same shoes. My shoes would have not been fit to be filmed after one day, but your shoes are always looking clean. How do you manage that? I have no idea. I only have one pair of leopard Vans at a time. At one point in time, I had two pair. Like one real ratty pair and then a nice pair. And I just wore that ratty pair to where like my toes would be falling out of the shoes. I don't know. I think they're just like a good pattern and good color for the garden. And our soil's pretty like dry. Like, it's not, I'm hardly ever in mud. So Sheila said, side note question, are you guys affiliated with Espoma Organic? They played your video on ornamental grass and even have your YouTube name in the title. Yes, we do work with Espoma, and they do have permission to use anything that they want. They're amazing to work with. Marla said, would you be willing to go for a stroll with us in the South Garden? The various clumps of things that are growing together are looking very nice, and it would be neat to see the totality of what's going on out there. That's a good idea. I should do that.
Yeah. Well, it's been a while since we've done a garden tour.
We were kind of waiting, for things to be buttoned up because there's so much that still looks kind of the same. And but at some point.
Here in the next couple of days, we need to go out there and.
Well, I'm kind of hoping. So here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that Benny and his guys show up this afternoon, get the measurement done at least, and then tomorrow they're here with their machine. They always start projects on Fridays for us. Always.
Yeah, they do.
They do. It, like, without fail, they'll start on a Friday and then they leave all their machines and everything out all weekend, and then sometimes don't even show up on Monday to start in. Like, they've got something else they got to go do.
Right.
Sometimes not on Tuesday. It's crazy, you guys. Like, ooh, I'm just so excited to be done, and I'm just like, I'm kind of done with projects at this point for now. Although I know that's not going to be my life. Next video is planting cabbage and broccoli seedlings plus perennial and cool season annual flower seeds. So we started cabbage and broccoli. I can't even remember what the date was that we started that. It was probably like 3 weeks prior to when I planted them out. So I had a flat of Golden Acre cabbage and a flat of Bellstar broccoli, roughly like 24. There was 24 cells. Some of the cells had more than one plant. So like for the broccoli, I think I had roughly 30 plants to put in. So we got those planted, broccoli in the raised bed, cabbage out in the big garden, and then we planted a few more fall crops like more spinach and kale up here in the raised beds. And then out in the cut garden, I kind of went over some of those hardy perennial seeds, flowers like echinacea, foxglove. There's things like delphiniums and lupins that you can plant now. And then, I mean, you don't expect a whole lot. They might emerge from the ground and you'll have little plants by the end of the season if you happen to have a really warm fall, but then they're hardy enough to go through the winter, and then they'll be just, ahead of the game for next year. And then there's also some cool season annuals that need a cold period, like larkspur. If you're starting seeds for those, a lot of times you either need to plant them out super duper early in the late winter, early spring, or now, or you have to put those seeds in the refrigerator so they get that cold period before you pop them out in the ground. But if you put them in now, then they will, they'll just sit outside in the winter like they would naturally. You're kind of playing like your Mother Nature a little bit. Like, most plants that come up, even if they're not a perennial, like a cool season annual like Bells of Ireland and the larkspur, they'll grow that season, and then then they'll set seed and drop it all over the ground, and that seed just chills there, just sits there, and then the next year that comes back up. And I have a lot of things doing that in the garden right now, and I love it. I kind of want to lean in on things that do that because it just cuts the workload down. It's nice, and they're pretty flowers. So Carol said, have you considered letting your friends dig up the tubers so they don't just die? I would come dig them up if I was your friend. I've thought about it briefly, but I want to run the experiment. I want to see what happens. I just told Aaron last night, maybe I should just dig one of each variety we have out there, because that wouldn't be a terrible job. I think we've got like 65 to 70-ish different varieties out there, and that wouldn't be hard. I thought maybe I should go out there while they're still looking good and I can see the colors of the flowers and tag the plants of each variety that I want to save. That way I have a representation of everything that I have out there, at least saved in the root cellar for the winter, and a little security there, I guess. I'm going to order some new varieties though too. And it's going to be fun to see if the experiment works, because if it does, I know a lot of people in this area will probably start doing that very same thing. Because a lot of people that I've talked to that grow them, it's a pain. It's a pain to dig and store, clean, and divide dahlias.
So I have a question about that. How will you, okay, let's say it fails, you know.
Yeah.
You won't know until after it's too late
Yeah.
to order more dahlias.
Right. So I'm going to pre-sprout them and have them growing in cans.
What does that mean?
I'll have them growing in the greenhouse. Remember how I had a whole bunch of cans of dahlias out there?
Uh-huh.
I started them early. So we're going to have high tunnels up and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So you're talking about you'll dig up one of each variety.
Right.
So that's all you'll have next year.
Well, see, if I dig up one clump, a lot of times you'll have a lot of tubers on that one clump.
Oh, okay.
So I thought, you know what, if we have both high tunnels up, which is kind of our plan, we plan on leveling the whole new property so it's all, you know, because there's like a drop in the back of that property, and then putting up our two high tunnels, one to kind of store some things that we have out, like bagged things. It'd be nice to have bags under cover, because even soil bags and stuff, they're not 100% watertight and they get moisture in them, which isn't what you want. And then in the other one, I thought, oh, I could just like pack it out with dahlias, or in this one. Either way, I'll have some growing. And if we don't have as big of a patch this next year, I don't care. I just don't. There's a lot of things I can put right there in their spots. Like wherever there's dahlias growing, that's awesome. And then if there's a little hole, I'll put some zinnia seeds right there.
Sure.
You know, it might look like a little bit of a chaos, but I'm willing to go through it just to see if it will work. And then we'll have the extras. And then if I have extras to give away in pots, like how awesome.
Sure.
That would be fun. Kelly said, would you review the strawberries you planted this season? Yes. So let me go back to my strawberry video just to refresh myself on all the varieties, because there was 5 varieties. Let me tell you right from the gate that the Seascapes are the best. Seascapes I've never grown before, and they have been fruiting since about when we planted them all the way till now. I mean, huge berries and huge sets of berries. Every other day I can go out and pick a bunch. What was the other one? I'm looking here. Eversweets were good, not quite as productive. I thought early on, I'm like, this is the one to plant, but Seascapes have beat that variety for sure. Quinault was another one, another everbearing, which is kind of like an old standby variety. I just don't know about those. The flavor is really good, but the berries are kind of small, and the plant's chlorosis. Big time. Like they were the first ones to show signs of stress, and so I'm like, And then I've got 2 spring bearing, which I really didn't get to experience all that well. There's Honey Eye and All Star, so we'll see what those do. The foliar growth on those has been insane. The plants are deep green, enormous, huge. I got a few berries off of them, of course, like around June-ish time, but I think this next year we'll get to see what those do. And the benefit of having a spring bearing crop is that they bear heavy loads all at one time, or relatively the same time, so that you have a shorter harvest window. That way, if you're doing preserving, freezing, jams, things like that, you're kind of guaranteed a lot of your crop all at once. Instead of a lot of everbearing varieties, they just kind of spit berries at you all season long, but never in like a huge quantity. So if you're wanting to do a batch of this or that, you sometimes, unless you've got a huge patch of berries, you may not be able to gather up enough to do that unless you're freezing them, you know, in little batches. So anyway, Seascapes rather have been the absolute best, the best. The kids love them, I love them. Diane said lots of arches in the rows. Are you planning on row cover for fall and winter? You know, I had those over there for the ranunculus and anemones this last year, which I don't think I'm going to plant in the first rows. They were beautiful for the season that they were there, but they overlapped when I could plant my warm season stuff. And I think I'm going to save that. Like right now I've got zinnias and cosmos in there, and they're just such nice looking plants, and they stay nice for most of the season. And so I'm learning which ones I want to have more like closer to the front. So those row covers are still there because I was considering doing ranunculus again this year, in that spot this year, and they're kind of a pain to put in the ground and space out just so I thought, well, they look kind of cute out there. I kind of like the look of them, and if I end up doing ranunculus there next year, they're already in place. But anyway, I don't know what we'll do. Linda from Idaho said, Laura, have you considered scattering wildflower seeds in that big lot so the wildlife have more places to live and feed? I'm having a great time watching the area I planted from High Country Gardens in American Meadows. The cosmos are over 6 feet tall. We've considered all kinds of different things. We talked about wildflowers like briefly. Yeah. But we're just not sure exactly what we're going to do with it, honestly.
Well, we wouldn't be able to scatter things. I mean, you'd have to irrigate it.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some dry land mixes, but I don't know what kind of dry land, like what dry land actually means.
Dry land flowers?
Yeah. There's like a mountain mix. I'm thinking down at the garden center, there's 3 different types of wildflower mixes down there. What are they called? Let's see, it's been a little bit too long. I know there was a mountain mix. Let me look them up. Yeah, they have a dryland mix, a bee mix, and a Rocky Mountain mix. So the dryland mix is what we would have to go for. There's no description though what's in there. Excellent. And I would need to know how much rainfall that dryland mix actually needs. I don't think it could handle no water at all, and our rainfall is too little. JE860 said, you inspired me to start a garden after years of debating. I loved the winter garden tour you did. Have you ever filmed a winter tour of your parents' garden? Would love to see that. That would be a fun one to do. We should do that this year because they have, I mean, you guys, many of you know, they've got a 30-plus-year-old garden, and it's terraced, so it's very different from ours. Ours is very like open and large. It's not going to be open forever because a lot of ours is baby. It's not a mature garden yet. Theirs has a lot of rock walls and like cozy little rooms, so it just has a very different feel, and it's really fun to go look in their garden because you get to see a lot of things at their mature size. Here in ours, when we do a tour, there's a few things that are mature size, but not a lot. And you know, we've been ripping up and tearing up so much that we're just kind of starting from scratch in a lot of areas, which is kind of what they did. The rock walls were there when we moved in, but I think in terms of what was there, like mature things, there's a maple and a locust, which kind of frame in the backyard of their house. Those were there. There was a lilac that was there. Kind of along the pool, like right where that hose is. Yeah, not a lot. The row of raspberries was there, the 2 rows that are still there. But they put a lot of that stuff in the early days, you know, and so seeing those mature things is just, and the winter interest is so pretty. That's a great idea. We should remember to do that, like after we get just a little bit of snow, so you can kind of see how it looks. Major said the big garden is looking great, but there's so many things that are self-seeding. How do you control the plants that are self-seeding that you don't necessarily want in the big garden? I would just pull them out, weed them out. Just normally. We have a kind of a weeding routine in there. So, you know, every area gets looked at quite a lot. So if there's an area where something's coming up, you can either leave it or just weed it out. Next video was making a succulent arrangement as a housewarming gift. That was such a fun project because I felt like I haven't done that in so long. Yeah. And it felt almost a little bit foreign to be standing there with all these plants around me, just like trying to think, I don't know, before when you do something a lot, just like second nature. I don't know, you just kind of do it and whatever.
There's something kind of ASMR about like watching you put together succulent arrangements though. I feel like it's the same with fairy gardens too. Like any small displays that you put together, there's something, it's just really satisfying, I think, to watch it all kind of come together. And then in the end, you have this like really beautiful, you know, piece.
Well, you hope. The whole time I'm like, oh, please
well, a lot
let
of times,
turn out.
You know, the things that you plant out are smaller. It's like they're gonna get to a mature size, but with succulents, they kind of they'll grow, you know, but they grow so slowly that it's kind of like, this is just about their size.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is a display that's going to last for about a year.
Right.
Before you're going to have to tinker with it and remove a couple things here or there or whatever.
And so much more long lasting than a cut flower arrangement. I was kind of going back and forth. I'm like, what should I make for her? Because we could sneak something over into her house, you know, the day that she was planning on starting to move stuff over. And so I decided on that because she is into succulents and houseplants and that sort of thing. And I thought it would be fun to like try it again, I guess. Yeah. Elizabeth said, how do you water this? Slowly. Don't like deluge it with a watering can. You can if you put it in the sink. A lot of times succulent arrangements that look like really full like that are slightly mounded on the top. So a lot of times you'll either use a watering can with a really slender spout. So spout thing. Is that the right word?
Sure.
Yeah. Or a syringe. I get those they're like gigantic syringes that you can fill with water, and then you can direct the water right where you want it to go, and it's very easy to control the amount of water you give them to, and you just kind of like squeeze a little bit in between each succulent. We have to be mindful of water hitting the leaves because we have hard water, so if water hits the leaves, it kind of ruins the succulents. In fact, when I look at succulents at any garden center around here, I'm super picky about how they water. Like, I don't want any of these plants because they're so hard water stained, and it doesn't go away on a house plant. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like a perennial that you can cut back and then have it grow back fresh. You know, you want to buy things that look fresh and that the leaves are kind of unmarred. So that's kind of how we water them.
I saw a video of a gal who was showing how she waters her succulents, and they weren't necessarily arrangements, but she would like fill up the bathtub and like a decent amount of water, and then she would literally just submerge all of her succulents, like 100% submerge them. She was saying it's not about the amount of water that you give succulents, it's about the frequency that you give water to succulents. So she has like this routine where I don't know if like once a month or whatever, she goes through and just submerges them, lets them fully drain.
So they're submerged in their pot. So soil is going everywhere.
Well, that's the thing is you'd almost have to have like a rock layer or something like that on top.
Would the rocks kind of?
Well, rocks don't float.
No.
So if you
but
had
they would stay in place.
If you had rock layer on top, that would keep the soil from floating, right? So you have to be particular about that.
I would never have plants I had to do that with.
Well, I think for her it's just like this is the routine, and it's easier just to like move them all into one location, submerge them all, kind of like the way you do with air plants.
Oh, that is my nightmare.
Feel like too much work?
Oh yeah, picking up stuff and moving it all around the house into a bathroom and then having to clean the tub afterward.
Yeah.
No.
You're like, no thank you.
Tara said, what was the name of the tall green one you put as the tall focal point? I have no idea. I can't even remember. Let me see if I can bring up a picture. Yeah, you know, I'm not sure. It looks like it might be some kind of sedum to me. However, I called one of them a Graptosedum California Sunset, and I think that might be a sedum.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's been so long. I've been kind of out of the succulent game for so long, like a few years. I haven't really worked with a whole lot of them. I used to know all the names of all of them. Not all the names of all of them, but I knew the names of a lot of the common ones at least.
And do you feel like it's like I knew all the succulents within my realm.
Well, exactly, yeah.
It's like you
and they need to be common, like none of the real specialty
You start
varieties.
to realize as you get more into things how much you don't know about stuff.
Yeah. A lot of those plant cans didn't have labels on them either, and then one of them came in a mix. It was like a little bowl that I was ripping apart and using little pieces out of, so none of those were labeled either.
It's a pretty red one.
Yeah, exactly. Marla said, oh my, where did you get the variegated string of pearls? Have seen this, but never on sale locally. That one was sent to me by Little Prince.
Was it?
Yeah, they sent out a box of beautiful things, and that was in it. There's another airplane, hang on.
Recently, it seems like the only two places that we've gotten succulents online have been Little Prince and Mountain Crest.
Yes.
Mountain Crest Gardens out of California. Mountain Crest, their kind of like claim to fame is like hardy succulents, which we've never, like they're succulents that would survive in our area. We should create some type of a little garden or I don't know, you'd almost need like a rock garden or something.
You could do that somewhere.
Does that just not appeal to you? Like that type of gardening?
You know, I don't know. It all appeals to me maybe on a small scale, like doing a small area.
Yeah.
I was think like those types of things go in a container. You know, if it's
Yeah.
not something that necessarily fits in with what I normally like to put in flower beds. But I like it when I go to other people's gardens and I see them trying out different styles and different like little things here and
Right.
there. That's kind of fun to see. So we've got plenty of opportunity
Yeah.
out there in the South Garden.
If only we had some more land.
No, Aaron, it's your fault.
You love it.
Vicky said, just so very beautiful. I loved it when you put the planter on the turntable and said, what? How to pronounce your last name? Oh, how do you pronounce your last name? Leboutillier. Leboutillier. A lot of people in our area say Leboutillier. Leboutillier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and there's even, it's possible it's Le Boutillier
Oh, really?
instead of Le Boutier.
Oh, that seems a little bit more hard.
Yeah.
A little bit more difficult.
We don't even really know. It just,
We go by Leboutillier.
Yeah, you can just, however you want to say it is fine. We actually recently took a 23andMe test,
Yeah.
one of those genetic tests. And you've been saying, well, your family has said that you've got some Native American in you. And it was true. Those,
Yeah.
Was it 3% or 2 point something percent?
It was three
3 point
points.
something?
Yeah.
Yeah. And kind of fun to see like
The breakdown.
the breakdown. There's like a little bit of this or a little bit of that, you know, back. One thing that I would like to know more though is like how far back some of that stuff was.
Yeah.
You know, because it just tells you the percentage, but you don't really know, you know, how far back that that percentage was.
Yeah.
There's a lot of German, right, in both of us.
Yeah.
I forget the percentages for a lot of that, but we're just kind
It
of
was-
nuts.
Yeah, it was interesting. Next question. You guys did a landscaping project at your relative's house a couple of years ago, 4 to 5 videos. Any update on that? Was that Tim's house?
Sold the house.
Yeah, he sold the house. So it actually doesn't look like whoever bought the house is taking care of it.
Yeah.
It's pretty messy.
I noticed that the other day.
Yeah, yeah. Bummer. I had planned.
Tim kills him. Like, he is like, everybody knows what happened to the housing market.
Yeah.
He's like, I should have kept that house as a rental. Like, if he would have held on to that house, it would have been such, but you know,
You don't
hindsight's
know.
2020. You
Right.
never know.
Yeah. Charlotte said, are all the succulents you use need the same amount of sunlight? I know some succulents prefer less, more sunlight. I tend to get caught up in the excitement of all the succulent shopping fun and forget to check the tags. Or is it okay to have a mix of both in a container arrangement? You know, I usually do a pretty good mix. I mostly worry more about water requirements. Like if I'm trying to cross into like the cacti realm and try to move some of those in with some succulents, that's a little bit more... of importance, I guess, to me, that I think about that more. I typically put succulents in an area that's super bright, not direct light in the afternoon. Ours tends to burn succulent leaves, especially the soft succulents like echeverias and things. So morning sun is good, and or filtered light throughout the day is typically where we put them, and usually all of them are happy in that kind of light here anyway. Every area can be a little bit different. Next video was the 2022 Dahlia tour, which I did a little bit differently. So I decided to, and this was so fun for me. I loved every single second of it. And I actually questioned myself toward the end of when I was done setting up all the dahlias on the table. I thought, oh, I should have probably put a camera up while I was doing this. Sometimes I just do it and I forget, but I just really had a great time. I scrounged up enough jars to house all of the different varieties of dahlias that we have in the garden, and I got them all set up in the cut flower shed, got water in the vases, made labels for everything we had, and then just went out. Like, I made several trips back and forth from the shed to the dahlias, and oh, it made me so thankful for that shed being right there. So awesome. But I would just come back with a whole handful of beautiful blooms and got them all arranged. It was so fun. It only took like an hour to do the whole setup. It really, I saw the comment a lot that there was a lot of effort put into the setup. I mean, it would have been less effort just to walk through the rows, for sure. But it really, yeah, it was a lot of fun. But I did first show you kind of an overall of the setup of the dahlias, talked about how we irrigate, the T-post setup, how far apart we space them, and so on and so forth. Nathan said, anyone else see the bug crawling up Laura's hand at 27 minutes? I didn't even know there was a bug crawling on my hand.
You should pull it up really quick.
There was a bug on my hand. It was a big green one. Nope, I didn't know that was there. What kind of bug was that?
I didn't see it.
It looks like a squash bug, but it's like bright green.
Nast.
I gotta check my hands are pretty rough, so that's maybe why I didn't feel it.
Like even like free rides at the airport or something?
I don't know. But I'm telling you what, this gray cloud that's above us, I'm loving that.
No cloud, it's the tree.
No, there's a gray cloud right above it. It just shaded us from the sun for just a minute ago, but like
really?
I can still see it. It's like there's more than one right now.
Yeah,
it's like
there
there's
is.
4. For crying out loud, do they not know we are trying to film a recap video down here?
That's why when people always say like, I just wish there wasn't any music and you just let the natural sounds around. It's like, it's not natural sounds. You hear lawnmowers and airplanes.
And nail guns.
And nail guns.
That's like our life with all of the building
or
around
dogs
us.
bark. I mean, dogs barking is fine.
We don't have a lot of dogs barking around us, thank the Lord.
Yeah, every once in a while though you can hear
Every
one
once in a while, but we've got really mindful neighbors. We've got great neighbors, and I'm so thankful for that because that is one of the worst things to me. Next question. Diane said it looks like, oh, this isn't a question. This is telling me what that big purple dahlia was. And so many of you responded and said it's Thomas Edison, and I was like, oh duh, yes it is Thomas Edison. I planted that one last year. The label just must have gotten lost, and then Jenny at Creekside sent me a text today and she said that there's a hurricane heading their way, and she was like, I'm out here trying to harvest as many dahlia blooms as I can, and check out this Thomas Edison, which came from our garden. I'm like, yep, that's the one. So anyway, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna label that one. I'm so excited to know the name of it. It just, sometimes there's too many varieties out there for me to remember.
And you're good at varieties too. Like you pop off variety names when we do garden tours.
But you know, the dahlias I don't have as much, see that gray cloud?
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome? The dahlia varieties I don't have as much experience with. Like I haven't been growing them for as long, and I honestly don't work with them as much because we plant them out there and then like we don't do anything with them the rest of the season. They just grow and bloom. They are awesome in season. They're just not awesome off season.
Sure.
Margie said, remembering you putting dahlias in gel, but can you dry them upside down? I don't know if you can. I mean, we could give it a shot. I don't think the dinner plates would like it. They would be, but I wonder about like the bigger ones, or the smaller ones that have like the pom-pom type that are more structurally sound, like they're more stiff. I wonder how those would turn out. We could give it a shot. Iceberg said, where did you get the bumblebee dahlia? I can't find it online. That one came from Swan Island last year. I ordered quite a number of new varieties for my patch this year from Swan Island. The other places I've ordered from in the past, well, Florette sent me a bunch. She sent out a bunch of varieties a couple of years ago. I've ordered from Eden Brothers. I've had really good luck with their tubers. I've gotten some at Home Depot. I've got a few at my parents' garden center. They don't typically carry a lot of varieties. And then I've gotten some from Swan Island. Maddie said, I low-key blame you for my expensive dahlia purchase I just made. You're gonna love it, Maddie. You'll be thanking me later on. How would you treat the powdery mildew in the spring? If the temperatures are still cool enough, which you'd want to read the label, I can't remember what that temperature cutoff is, I would still use the sulfur option. It's the organic option. I can't remember what that temperature is, but anyway, if it's a little bit over that, I would probably just use a horticultural oil or a neem oil, something like that. Becky said, do dahlias smell good or are they just beautiful to the eyes? Just beautiful to the eyes. I don't know of any dahlia that smells good. So, I mean, they don't smell bad, they just don't have a smell. And the last video from this week was surprising my mom with a porch full of pumpkins and a little fall planting in our garden. So we decided, it was actually one of the days that we were kind of like, not feeling super great, but still want to be productive. For me, you guys, like, I know a lot of people are like, why don't you take days off? Just take some time off and get better. It's not good for me. It's mentally not good for me. Like I like to be productive. It makes me feel good about my day. It doesn't matter what kind of productive. It could just mean laundry. I got through the laundry today, or I made sure the house is picked up today, that sort of thing. But if I'm feeling like, I know the limit. Like I know if I need to go lay down and that sort of thing, but I've been like, good enough to where I can get out and do like a low-key project, which I felt like that kind of was. Aaron helped me with a lot of the lifting of the pumpkins, and it was just really fun. And we took it slow. I mean, I didn't get a whole lot done in that day. It was just the pumpkins and the one planter. So like I can get a lot more than that done in a day typically. So anyway, just felt like a really fun project. I knew that we were going to go do pumpkins at some point out at my parents'. That was going to be phase 2 of the decorating for, to help my mom out since she can't move around a ton with her foot yet. But I just didn't know if maybe we would all go out together, my sister, mom, and I, and I thought, oh, this would be fun if we go out and surprise her, and Benjamin will think it's amazing. And he did, and it was really fun. After we got done with that, came home and I just did one planter in the garden, and it wasn't one I even had to like bend over for. It was all at, standing level. I did plant out the one lavender that was in the pot though, but it felt like a really good day. It was a nice day. Tori said the display looks amazing. What do you guys do with the pumpkins after they die? You know what? A lot of our pumpkins go to Bethany's pigs.
Yeah.
Bethany's pigs eat all of our stuff. It's awesome. So when we clean out our garden, any vine crops, tomato plant, anything that we pull from the garden, they eat. It's great. So a lot of our refuse, if it's edible to pigs, go there. For my parents, it goes out. We both have piles. Like we have a pile out in our new property, and they have a pile out in their pasture where we dump a lot of our debris. Anyway, that's what you do. You can compost it. Some people will like open up the pumpkins and let it out for wildlife to eat.
Yeah.
Laurel says, I once heard Laura say she does not care for the style of landscaping at Disneyland. Has anyone heard her say why she feels like that? I enjoy hers and theirs.
Yeah, how come you're a hater?
I'm not a hater. I think maybe what it's in reference to is that Disneyland style, I mean, it's like an experience, right?
You've never said that you dislike Disneyland.
No.
To set the record straight.
No, and we'll probably go to Disneyland at some point with our kids, I went when I was like 4. And you've been several times, right?
Yeah, because 1 or 2 times. I forget how many.
Oh, okay.
Not a lot.
But those types of gardens, they're like over-the-top, show-stopping, like big color blocks, like big splashy garden spaces, which are amazing to see, right? But you pick that up and you put it in a home garden setting, and for my garden at least, it doesn't really go. I kind of like a little bit more peaceful, subtle, like monochromatic almost kind of spaces, dealing with a lot of textures and different colors of green, that sort of thing. But that's just a style preference. It's not that I don't like it, it just doesn't fit in my space. If you want to do a Disneyland garden, you should do that for sure.
Do you think that you have would you tone down the color in your own garden if you weren't making YouTube videos?
I don't think so. I enjoy doing color in some areas and doing like a pocket, like an annual flower bed. That's fun to do because it's fun to try out new plants and different colors together. And thank goodness for that. Like I tried out the moon garden in annuals the first year. Did not like it at all. I like it so much more what it is now.
Yeah.
So it allows you the ability to, because annuals are usually cheaper. It is wasteful, I guess. I mean, somebody could look at it as wasteful to spend money on annuals and not perennials when perennials is what you're going for in the end. But I think it's worth the investment to see if you like that in that space. You spend some money one year on annuals and you figure out like, yes, this is what I want, but I would like this texture here and this there. And maybe, you can really play with things and learn a lot from a year with annuals.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And I think, we have enough balance. We have a lot of, boxwood hedging. We have a lot of green shrubs and things like that around that I think a little color is nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. Macintosh said, is the tree planted by the lavender supposed to look so sad? Oh, the tree. Oh, Aaron's like gleefully responding to that question. It's the weeping beech tree that I bought.
Yeah.
It's a weeping beech. It's burning this year because it's his first year. It won't do that every year.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Just like a tricolor beech.
Right. I need to go give that tree a little pep talk. Lisa said, totally off topic. Do you have issues with random people, fans, just showing up on your property? As always, thank you for all your hard work in teaching us. Occasionally.
It doesn't feel like it's as often as has happened before.
I think what has improved it is I think there might be more, but we don't see them as much because our entrance is now so much further away from our house. When it was right up to the front, we had a lot of traffic, and it just because this is where we live and where our kids live, but I'd see people with phones taking video or pictures.
That's the worst part is when people are taking videos and photos.
Yeah, they probably see my face in the window
yeah.
Looking at them.
There was a couple that came through recently, and I was not rude, but I was very short in my responses to them, and it was very clear that it's you weren't welcomed here. I didn't invite you here. Mm-hmm. you know, you need to go. And I didn't say that you need to go, but I was trying to just like answer whatever question they had in the least amount of words possible. And I feel like maybe they thought I was being rude, but I kind of wanted to say like, look, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
And like, you're probably a nice, normal person, but like my kids are here and I don't know you.
Is it normal for people to think that that's okay though?
I think some people are socially unaware. And I know it's just a perennial problem with anybody who like lives their life kind of like sort of publicly. And so like, I'm not complaining about it, you know, just, it is what it is. But at the same time, it's like, you know, if you're out in public and somebody comes up and talks to you, like you're in public, but when you're at your home and people come to your home, that's an invasion of privacy.
I've picked up my kids a couple of times and like rushed them inside.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know who this person is.
Right.
We're out playing.
Right.
And that's not okay.
And some people come up with some weird reasons for why
Yeah.
they like drove up to your house. Oftentimes it's like because they lost something. It's like, you didn't lose anything here. I know
Yeah.
you didn't lose anything here. You're lying. Get.
Ooh, overcast.
Yeah.
Nice.
But luckily,
it's really
we've
not
got,
a big problem though.
It's not a huge problem,
No.
and I don't want it to seem like we're complaining at all, because like it's not that big of a problem.
No,
but,
it's not.
But it does happen occasionally, and we have a good security system, so
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about it, honestly.
Donna said, with all the pollinators around, do you ever get stung? I don't want to say that I don't, because I probably will today after saying that, but no, I don't get stung. I don't know if they can sense fear. I'm not like up in their business, like messing with them. You know, I might brush next to them or whatever, but I just think that they are minding their business and I'm kind of minding mine, I guess. I don't know. When was the last time you got stung?
I don't think I've ever been stung by like a pollinator that was on a thing. I've been stung by wasps, like nest creating, like the ones that you want to get rid of. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I've never been stung by a honeybee that I can think of.
I have.
Really?
Yeah. I've been stung a number of times throughout my life, but I can't even remember the last time I was stung. I think that I want to say I was stung on my hand last. And maybe it was even just at Andrews, the garden center. They itch so bad.
I got stung a decent amount of times working for the cable company, because inevitably wasps would create nests in all of our cable equipment.
Yeah, and the pedestals up in there.
Yeah,
it's like
there's
the
not
perfect
much.
spot.
And, you know, we had a lot of spray. Not a whole lot you can do besides just like unlock it, pop the thing off, and run.
My dad is hilarious with wasps and things. Oh, they seem to find him.
Yeah, they
and
do.
occasionally you'll see him like double fisting some wasp spray, and he'll be on his back, like underneath something, with the wasp spray pointed. And anyway, yeah, he gets himself into some jams with the wasps around here. And I think that was the very last question for this week's recap. Anything else you want to add, Aaron? Where are Benny and his guys?
Yeah, I
right now?
thought for sure by doing this video it would summon him.
Where are they? I want to get those boxwoods planted. I did pull boxwoods out, and I think that's what helped us so much, was seeing like visually where the boxwoods would end up back there. So like I've got them set out in two of the little quadrants back behind the Hartley, and I can just kind of start seeing the vision of what that area is going to be. It's going to be so fun.
Well, we've got those 4 trees too. The
yeah, I don't
Pacific.
know that I want to put those here. You don't know. I don't know if they're going to look too, they might look too thick.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be awesome, and you're going to love it.
Do you? Is that what you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, okay. We'll see.
Okay.
We got to do some measuring, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this recap video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day and a great week, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.